Welcome to the next session. I can see here Agnes Sävenstedt. I apologize. I might not be correct.
Agnes. Hi, Agnes. How are you?
Just fine, thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much. Hi. Hi, Prof.Naz. How are you?
Very good, Professor
We will enjoy
Hanadi.
together in those sessions with a great presenter. Go ahead.
Thank you. Again, thank you so much for having me. I don't know what time it is those attendees from right now. Agnes, I think you are in Sweden. Am I correct?
Yes, so it's 5 p.m. here in Sweden, Stockholm.
Okay.
So it's pitch dark outside since we have, we're so far north, but still just afternoon, actually.
You are in Stockholm?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Professor Hanadi, where are you? You are in France right now?
Yes, in Paris.
You're in Paris.
Yes. I'm in Paris for some health issue. Then I launching my conference near to European people, near to Agnes and others.
Okay,
and
very
also
good.
near by 6
Excellent.
hours to you.
So the timing is good for everyone for now.
Yes,
It's not
yes.
3 a.m. as yesterday. Some presenters were really tired and waiting for their turn, but everything worked out amazingly. Still, it's working great. This is another excellent year for this conference. Thank you, Professor Hanadi, again for having me.
Thank you.
Being here. So Agnes, I have a few things here. Maybe attendees might not know from your bio that I want to share. You have a passion for innovation and an aptitude for process improvement, which have led to entrepreneurship in innovation management. I was reading your bio and it's just so impressive, but you're the co-founder of Innovation 360 Group, which you are with right now. Is that correct?
Right now, I'm still working a lot with them, but I run another consultancy that's called Rhubarbs.
Okay, okay. This is very good. I'm so excited to hear from you. I'm going to give the microphone to you. I don't want to take from your time. We are here. We are listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I had a little poll that I have gotten some responses from, and basically it's a poll about what the innovation is for you. And what I wanted to highlight with that little poll was that, either you do innovation, either you have innovation as a tool or you have innovation for, it's actually changing. You want totally new things out of there. So either innovation for doing things better or for getting better things, so to speak. And what was fun in this poll and the results from there is it's absolutely 50% each. Nobody in this audience, of course, thinks that innovation isn't interesting at all or isn't important. Everybody thinks it's important, but about half see it's okay. It's vital for the survival of my organization, and which I assume is then about how innovation can help us. And the other half say that okay, it's the only chance we have to save our planet. And I was here speaking at this conference 2 years ago, and then I spoke about innovation, radical innovation. And today I'm going to talk about the opposite. I'm going to talk about innovation really close to the core, and how you can apply innovation methodology close to your core to succeed with your strategy work. And for the sake of this presentation and the previous speakers and what we are talking about, I'll use AI as an example. And because why are we using AI, and what we're using AI for? It can either be to improve our processes as James Gardner spoke about, how we can be faster and more efficient in our project delivery. Or it can be that, okay, perhaps it can be totally new things that we do as a company. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here. And continuous strategy and applying innovation methodology on core business. And hopefully this can be, I'm going to give some advice on how you can help that feeling of being overwhelmed that was spoken about in the last presentation, and how you can do that on an organization level, and sort of like sow a little seed of AI and make it work in your organization. And my background, for those of you who don't know me, is that I started with innovation at the peak or the cusp of digital transformation, when I was head of innovation at Aftonbladet, which is the largest daily newspaper in Sweden. And we were actually super successful in our digital transformation. Our growth we kept growing all through the most critical years. And in 2011, without stopping growing, our digital profits surpassed our paper projects. So super successful digital transformation. But if this is what growth looked like from the outside, this is how what happened to our morale and how the organization felt on the inside. It's not as happy. People were it was pretty hard, pretty painful for the organization to go through. So no match. And for those of you who were there, and that feeling of being overwhelmed, it has an explanation in the classic change curve, which is basically what we followed. Where something big happens, you're shocked and you're in denial, and then it really affects you, and eventually you start dealing with that. But if you're in an organization and you don't want to go that deep, there are things you can do. And if you're going to remember one thing from my talk today, it's that whenever you're doing business as usual, you can do analysis and prognosis as you were trained to know if something is a good idea or not in business or in school. But whenever you're in new turf, like AI is for us right now, and innovation is always, then there is no data that you can do analysis on. And any prognosis you do on makeup data is just going to be made up. So instead, you have to know if something is a good idea or not by building data through setting up hypotheses and testing those in experiments. And that's basically all you need to remember from my talk today, but I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on that. And I'm going to start with the concept of the growth gap, which is basically, let's say that, okay, this is the lower curve is where you are right now in your organization. And if you continuously improve what you're doing right now a little bit every year, you're going to have a growth curve like the bottom curve here. And the way the world is changing, those curves that the previous speaker showed on how fast things are evolving, you're probably wanting to get more out there. If you don't develop more than this in your organization, you're probably going to be obsolete in 5 years' time. So you want some of that enormous development also in your organization. And if you do this little calculation where, okay, where do I want to be in 5 years, and where is my current growth rate going to take me? Then you have the growth gap. And that's an excellent little tool to start with to see if you even need to innovate your organization, and how radical ideas you need to let AI help you create, like Brian Mattimore spoke about. So, and for whenever we go into some kind of change, like adopting AI or doing an innovation program or something, we want to make sure that whatever we're doing is not killing our lower curve, because that's basically what's going to make sure that we even exist in 5 years. So we really want to keep doing that work, and that's where we have continuous improvement. But now that things are moving so fast, we cannot just do one big ideation and say that, okay, all the growth, it's going to come from this one amazing innovation program. But rather we get to have some kind of continuous strategy process. So we start by setting a strategy for how do you think we're going to fill the space here between our two curves? How are we going to close our growth gap? And that continuous strategy process is what you have to get in place to succeed with your AI ventures. And I like to see it as you don't want to send your organization far away in a totally unknown direction, because it's pretty tough to change that big ship of yours. But rather you want to send out small pilot boats to check the conditions. Okay, our strategy says that we should leverage on AI in our core operations. What is that even? But okay, we have to try. Let's send out a pilot boat who can check the conditions in the next port and report back to us. Is this direction we're going to go into to succeed with applying AI? And what those little pilot boats do is to help us explore and report back and get that continuous strategy work doing. So if as I said before, I mean, whenever we're doing business as usual, we can call that strategic certainty. We pretty much know. I mean, we have data. Is this a good idea or not? We can we understand that scope. We've done similar things before. But when we're doing totally new things like AI forces us to do, then we are in strategic uncertainty. And and as I said before, we cannot use our classic tools for analysis and prognosis, but rather we have to we cannot set a strategy for 5 years, but we can have some kind of strategic outlook. Okay, we believe that we're going in this direction. We have hypothesis that this is a good idea for us to go in that direction. And then we send out a pilot boat to report back to us, do those experiments, and say, okay, that was actually a good road ahead. And what those little pilot boats do is they set up hypotheses, they run experiments to test those, and they check data from the experiments. And they keep doing those little learning loops to see, okay, was the hypothesis true or not, until we have enough data. So strategic uncertainty actually becomes strategic certainty. And then we can send the entire cargo ship in that direction, because basically our pilot boats has told us that we're going in the right direction. And when you're doing that, in radical innovation, it's far away from what you're doing in your core business. Then you can let a startup do that, or you can let an innovation lab do that or something. But when you want to do it really close to the core, when it's actually not wanting to destroy everything you do, and you're not going to have any growth on your everyday curve, then you have to do it in a different way. And we call that sowing transformation seeds. And basically there are three things you need to do. You need to start small. You need to show what the future looks like to help the organization feel less overwhelmed. And then you have to incubate and scale. So how do we do that with those little pilot boats? we start by finding. So if we want to experiment on how AI can help our core processes, then we should find something that's small, that does not involve the entire company, but rather a small unit, but something that's really important, something that management cares about. So if we solve this, we're going to have a lot of impact. We're going to have management's attention to what we're doing. So first we do an understanding of the situational awareness. So we know what is that small but important thing we can solve. And then showing them tell, we prototype that. We let a small people, okay, let's let this small team with a lot of support try applying generative AI in their daily processes under safe environments so they can test it. And then you have something that you can actually show the rest of the organization. Look here, this is what the future is going to look like once we have applied generative AI in our daily processes. Nobody got killed, nobody got fired. We were just much, much more efficient than we were before. And then you can, in the third step, incubate and iterate, try in a new area, put that back, let that grow. And that way the little pilot boat comes back and says, look, this is one way of doing it. It's safe to move in this direction of transformation. When you then potentially or hopefully you don't have to go just as deep in your change curve. The depression execution doesn't have to be so hard. It doesn't have to feel as overwhelming as you thought starting with generative AI in your organization was going to be. But rather you can go into problem solving mode much, much faster. So that was really fast introduction of how you can sow little seeds, transformation seeds, and without scaring your employees and without risking the entirety of your business today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Agnes. This was an amazing presentation and a great subject. We are right on time for the next presenter. If anyone has any questions, maybe towards the end of the session, we can get the questions. I don't want others not to have enough time, but if there's any pressing question that any one of you would want to ask, that would be fine. Just really quick one. Towards the end, we will talk. Would that be fine? Thank you. Thank you. Let's move to our next presenter. And I think I was seeing the name somewhere on the screen.
Professor Peter. Edward. Ed is no. We can't take Peter because I don't think Ed is coming in.
Oh, he's not coming in. Okay.
Let me check. Okay, sure. But you can. Professor Peter, how are you? You can start.
Okay.
Hey, Dr. Marty, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Good.
Professor,
nice to meet you.
Glasheen, welcome.
Good.
You're in Sydney, is that correct?
I am in Sydney.
Okay, let me ask, what time it is there?
It's exactly 3:23 a.m.
Okay, how are you feeling?
I'm pretty good now. Yeah, I'm pretty good now.
Excellent. It's so good to have you here. You are from Innovation 360, I believe. Right, and I was trying to find your bio, but I wasn't able to locate it.
I think it's up there now, but I'll give you a bit of a quick background. I've been involved with Innovation 360 Group since 2016, and worked with them in their tools and methodology. And actually, Agnes was the first person that I met from Innovation 360 back in Sweden all that time ago. And we we started a discussion around MVIS, which is a minimum viable innovation system, and how you could get it up and running in 90 days. So there you go. It's been a lot more than 90 days, but we're still going. Good. I'm going to bring up my slide deck. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely. And,
great. Okay, so if you're good, I'll start and we'll get moving along there. Mm-hmm. Great. So we talk a lot about innovation, don't we? So my speech is a little bit around walking the talk, and especially around one particular aspect of innovation in here as well. So when we talk about walking the talk, what does prioritising innovation really look like? And does management really buy in? So I'm going to use some data through here from the framework, especially from the Innovation 360 database, which has probably around somewhere well over 5,000 organisations who've answered questions around their organisational capabilities, and also around their aspiration for innovation. And in that, we can look at the data and we're going to get some insights around prioritising innovation. So let's have a delve into that. What does it look like? And what does management, especially because it's reliant on management to make it happen? And let's see if they really buy in. I'm going to start with, might be first off what you think is a little bit boring, but let's talk about, in talking the talk, who talks the talk best? Well, there's this set of ISO standards around innovation. And they're going to give us what I call from Australia a six-pack, but a six-pack of guidance around how to secure management buy-in. And what we're talking about is buy-in for an effective innovation management system. So there's 6 key principles that you need to focus on when referring to the standards here. And the first one is top management must take ownership and responsibility for the innovation management system's effectiveness. So how effective is it? Now, if you look at most people's innovation systems, they're somewhere between ad hoc innovation and this all singing, all dancing, elaborate, large-scale innovation factory that just pumps out innovation all the time. In fact, using a lot of the approaches that Agnes touched on in her last speak as well. And then somewhere in between, funnily that I mentioned that, there's this thing called minimum viable innovation systems as well. So somewhere you're going to have management taking ownership for something on that scale in there. The second area that there's key principle is they need to foster an innovation supportive culture and integrating innovation into their existing processes, and also invest in leadership development. And again, within most organisations, you're going to be somewhere leadership between what is something as a very flexible environment for the culture of the people working in there, or very highly structured and stable. So imagine organisations down here are like prisons and hospitals, etc. And up here could be something, new startups, example, and maybe advertising agencies. And then for our people, we want them working somewhere between independently to build the right type of culture, or interdependently, or a mixture of that. So somewhere around on this scale is the culture of your organisation for innovation. And then there's different leadership styles as well that they need to invest in. And of course, the leadership required for building the now business or Horizon 1 innovation is very different from what's required for searching for that new growth business in Horizons 2 and 3. And then, of course, you want to have a process to get there efficiently, and moving through those innovation processes and the exploratory phases of ideation and selection through to the execution phases of developing and commercialization. The third key principle is that you've got to provide necessary resources, really important in innovation priority. You've got to communicate the importance of innovation and promote continuous improvement. And there's 3 key capabilities that we've seen from the data that are important to being able to deliver this, and that's innovation priority. We'll come back to that more. Having a clear vision for your innovation efforts in your organisation, and an adherence to goal orientation to get innovation work done in your organisation in a timely manner and to deliver value. The last one should be that management should be actively trying to identify opportunities aligned with current and future needs. And current and future needs is here we are in business today land, and we want to get to business tomorrow land. And innovation will get us there, and it's the biggest chunk. So we can't rely just on market momentum or organic growth or even mergers and acquisitions. We need to get this balance going of innovation between incremental innovation and radical innovation. The next key principle to consider should be balancing opportunities and risks and evaluating the risk appetite and allowing for experimentation. And that means that you have to link your innovation to your strategic initiatives and have those spread out over 3 horizons: building the now business or searching for new growth businesses. And if you have gaps in this, then that's probably the biggest risk that you've got in terms of your innovation efforts. And then finally, for the last key principle is ensuring timely deployment of innovations and a focus on value realization. So often, there's we'll come back to a definition of innovation towards the end, but this is another key principle that they suggest is important. And I think what we're talking about is, in terms of this, is the focus on value. When we first start innovation, we've got lots of uncertainty, and we need to work through an approach, which we call the hypothesis-based approach, to get data. And once we've got enough data, we can get certainty. And when we get certainty, we can build a business case. And when we build the business case, we can deliver value. Because if the business case isn't delivering value in the end, then it's not innovation. So that's talking the talk from an ISO point of view in terms of key principles for getting management buy-in. Now, but let's see if there's maybe just one question that can help. And with our work that we do with Innovation 360, we ask a series of questions to organisations, and we ask those to all stakeholders. So whether it's management, whether it's employees, or whether it's external stakeholders in there. And one of those is, in your organisation, does management prioritise innovation efforts? Part one. And does it allocate adequate resources to them? Pretty heavy question. And imagine that you're able to answer this with something on a Likert scale, and people would answer, this is not true, or it's not fully true, we don't know, which is an indictment on the organisation if you don't know. That's almost correct or correct. Now, imagine then we could also split that data, and we could start to look at it and say, well, wow, I wonder how that question gets answered in the top 25% of innovators. And then how does it get answered in those other 75% of innovators in organisations? So 2 big chunks there. Now, maybe you could have a small guess about what we think answers could be, but let's have a look at what the data says around this as well. What the data says that in the other 75% of organisations, only 53% of management, when they answered this question, said we do prioritise innovation efforts and we do allocate adequate resources to them. So that's only 53%. And this is the answers by management, not the whole organisation. And management are the ones that can, allocate the resources and prioritise the innovation efforts. However, when you look at the top 25% of innovators, they say that this is 90% is almost correct or correct when answering this question. So there's a huge gap in the approach on innovation priority inside organisations. And you certainly want to be in one of those top 25% of organisations in there as well. And if not, then this is, again, how the answers, see the distribution here. This is the 90% answering almost correct or correct. Then the other 75%, you can see it's only a smaller one here. And we've got a real mix of, this is definitely not allocating enough prioritational resources. So in terms of talking the talk, what does it look like when management doesn't buy in? So this is what it looks like when management doesn't buy in and they lack prioritization of innovation. You'll see that there's limited or insufficient allocation of resources to innovation projects. There's a lack of a clear innovation strategy or vision from top management. There's an absence of a culture that actively supports and encourages innovation. and the impact of inadequate prioritization on the organization's ability to realize value from innovation. And then the potential consequences of missed opportunities due to inadequate management support. So this is what it looks like when management doesn't buy in. So what I'd like to move to now is, what does it look like when management does buy in? And this is a positive scenario. And this is what happens when you see that management prioritizes innovation and the need to do so. There's management's clear commitment to innovation. What you'll see in these organizations, there's a clear vision for your organizational efforts. People in the organization will understand what innovation is linked to which strategic initiatives for your organization. They'll also understand how innovation gets funded in there, which items will get selected to be funded, and how they will be funded and when they will be funded. So you've got a very clear vision around management's commitment. The second one is that there'll be an allocation of adequate resources to support innovation initiatives. And this will be visible because it's not just about money. Providing money for innovation is something that is there. And if you waste money, well, you can always get that back in the future. But you can't get people back if you do the wrong type of innovation. So you need to have an allocation of the right type of people, the right amount of time, and the right application of technology. So that's making sure you've got the resources, and you can't leave any one of those four out. You have to have the whole four. Then what we can also see is that there's an innovative culture fostered by top management's leadership. So here we're talking about leadership styles. I touched on that earlier. The leadership styles required for running the current business or building the now business is quite different from working out what we need to do next. Do we use existing resources in new ways? Do I need to acquire new resources to do new things? Or maybe I'm just out there exploring and finding out what could be possible as well. So different leadership styles, as you can imagine. We don't want somebody in charge of our Horizon 3 or exploratory innovation who's worried about getting results at the end of this week and this month and this quarter. You have to take a different leadership style in there as well. And then there's a couple more. We have evidence of value realization from the innovation efforts. And when we go back to that ISO description I talked about earlier of innovation, it's ideas that are implemented and add value. So there's lots of ideas that are implemented and don't add value. Therefore, that's not innovation. But ideas that are neither implemented or don't add value aren't innovation. But it's those ideas that are implemented and add value is what ISO describes as innovation. And of course, you have that by achieving a balanced 3-horizon portfolio of innovation efforts in your organisation. And that's where we'll see evidence of value realisation from their efforts in organisations whose management buys in. Then the organisation's ambitious and flexible innovation strategy. So when we look at their innovation strategy, you'll know in that organisation whether they're innovating for growth or for profit. What is their aspiration and their ability for doing incremental innovation or radical innovation? And remember, you're never going to get there if you're just going to do incremental innovation. And then they understand what is their mix of needs seeking in terms of their innovation efforts, or market reading, or technology driving. And are they driving basic technologies in new ways, or are they developing brand new technologies that are going to disrupt markets? And that's how management buys in. So when you want to move from where you are in business today to business tomorrow, we know that innovation, and therefore innovation prioritization, is the key to it. I hope I've been able to give some overviews then about what's required from management buy-in, because it doesn't happen, innovation prioritization, without management. And like I said, you can't rely on market momentum. You can't rely on organic growth. We probably can't even rely on M&A. We need this mix of incremental and radical innovation, and a big reliance to move the needle to where you want to be in the future by focusing on radical innovation. And that requires more than ever, management's buy-in. So that's how you walk the talk rather than talk the talk, by committing to those areas. And thank you. I think I've kept to time pretty well, Naz.
Yes, Peter, thank you so much. Yeah, walk the talk. That sounds like pretty important, right? And I have a couple of questions, but again, we want to take the questions probably towards the end. I can see Ed is here. But if anyone has any quick question, we can take the question quickly. Otherwise, we will have the questions at the end. And
hi, Ed, how are you? Just I'm searching about you in the LinkedIn. I miss you.
Very good.
Professor Ed Morrison is with us, and who is the director of Agile Strategy Lab. Thank you for joining us. We were a little bit nervous. We didn't see you earlier, but so glad you're here. So Ed is the co-author of the very good book, Strategic Doing, 10 Skills for Agile Leadership. I know that because I was just checking Amazon. You led me to do some shopping today, Ed. Thank you for that. That's the #1 Amazon new release in 6 categories. The book summarizes work you have completed over 25 years. That's a pretty long time, Ed. I'm sure it was a tough thing to put together all of those, but I also saw the reviews a little bit. It looks like a great book and something to really consider reading, and that's what I will be doing soon. Thank you for being with us, and the floor is yours. We are excited to hear what you are going to present. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. That was wonderful. I'm going to share my screen now, and let's just quickly talk about entrepreneurial ecosystems, and I'm going to how we build these entrepreneurial ecosystems, how we develop them, but it's really driven off of this work that you just mentioned around strategic doing. And we were very fortunate to have Yo-Yo Ma write the foreword to the book. And essentially what this discipline enables us to do is learn how to collaborate, learn how to work together to in a process of recombinant innovation to create new value. And it's not just monetary value, but it's value for the participants. And it's a process among equal partners. So it turns out that the work in strategic doing is all around the notion that that conversations are your power tool, and that when you understand that productive collaborations emerge out of conversations with a very predictable structure to them, that you can learn to guide your conversations, design and guide your conversations, and increase your productivity, both the volume and the velocity of productive collaborations. So that's kind of the operating system. Strategic doing is an operating system. It's a way of coming together to build collaborations more quickly. It's a set of simple rules. Not easy necessarily. It takes practice, like any discipline, takes practice to master these. But let's assume that all of our audience here understands strategic doing. And the question is, what do you do with this? How do you build an ecosystem using this operating system? And the answer is focus on 3 key concepts. 3 key concepts. So I'm going to walk you through 3 key concepts to develop an entrepreneurial ecosystem. It can be an innovation ecosystem. These are interchangeable terms in many ways. But let's talk about what an ecosystem is and how do you design and guide it. And this is based, again, on the 25 years of working and developing these ecosystems using strategic doing. So the first concept is creation space, is creating a space, and we've all heard about psychological safety, but it's creating a space where this process of conversation, deep conversation, can continue and can evolve, can emerge. This is very much of an emergent process. The second is a notion of a collaboration portfolio, and I'll walk you through what it takes to create an ecosystem, the notion of a collaboration portfolio. And then the third is the idea of scaling your collaborations through cohorts, through teams of teams. So let's dive in. So the idea of creation spaces is an important one. Probably the best articulation of it is actually out of Japan, and they use the concept, Nonaka, who is a very early scholar in knowledge management, uses the concept of ba. So it's a Japanese concept of ba, but let's talk about creation space. That makes so it's a physical space, but it's also a space that has some rules of engagement. Here's how we're going to work together, and some discipline to it. So it's an enabling, it enables that, remember, it's an enabling a process of improvisation, recombinant innovation, and flattening power structures so the people on the platform are equal in their perceptions and what they can do. So you're not worried about the position of the person in the authority structure, but you're more focused on what assets does this person have to contribute to our work, to solving this complex challenge. So ecosystems serve a purpose. They solve complex challenges when nobody has a solution and nobody can tell anybody else what to do. So you have this process of innovation happening in an open space, but has boundaries, has rules, has boundaries. So that's the notion of a creation space. The second is the idea of a portfolio of collaborations. It's not just one collaboration that creates an ecosystem. It's a portfolio of collaborations. And I'll walk you through this drawing. So in any community, any economy, any region, in order to be global, that's in a global economy, in order to create value, needs brain power, needs talent and technology. We're in a global economy. We need talent and technology. If we don't have talent and technology, we're kind of out of luck. So we start there. Then we have to convert that talent and technology into value through innovating networks, through this process of recombinant innovation. In order to have that happen, we have to have these creation spaces, which I was talking about. So you have to have creation spaces. Oftentimes they're linked together. They can be virtual, they can be real, but they're linked together. And those creation spaces enable the collaborations to form. And then most important, which is often neglected, is the idea of opportunity narratives. Where are we going? What's the future that we want to design together? And so this whole notion of an opportunity narrative creates coherence and alignment. So building an opportunity narrative is often the most powerful and the most productive way to start, is what's the opportunity that we want to explore. So at Purdue right now, we're focused on building one of these ecosystems around the future of logistics. And the question is, what's the opportunity that we want our participants to be pursuing? What is that opportunity narrative? And of course, the future of logistics is going to be driven by new technologies, new brainpower, new technologies around AI, around electric vehicles, around machine learning, a lot of data. The future of logistics is going to shift, is going to change. And so the opportunity is, how do we build new businesses around that? Imagine that we had, we think of inventories as mobile. Imagine that we have multiple deliveries. And the notion that that Peter brought up, which is horizons, is critically important. You know, horizon, 1 year horizon, 3 year horizon, 10-year horizon, whatever that notion of horizons as we move forward. So the opportunity narrative continues to evolve and shift, but that's very important. And then the last concept I want to bring you to is this notion that the way in which you can accelerate transformation in an ecosystem is through cohorts, because what happens is we're learning new behaviors. We're learning new ways of thinking, and we're learning new routines. And these are very much emergent in the sense that they are very context specific. They're focused on the complex challenge we have, but there are some fundamental heuristics, rules of thumb, things that we've seen work. And so by using those principles of what we can think of as adaptive management, not technical management. We already know about technical management, linear thinking, very important for technical problems. But ecosystems are designed to deal with complex challenges we don't know the answer to. So it's true that we do have new principles of management that underlie the adaptive management routines that we can develop. And we can do this by getting teams to learn from each other. So that's the notion of what adaptive management's all about. We have a group. If you're interested in following what we're doing, strategicdoing.net is the website where Strategic Doing Networks, that's our home. And we have launched with our partners in Belgium an open community for practitioners. We invite you to join that as well if you want to learn more about what we're doing. We're building out these ecosystems all over the world now using strategic doing. So that's, in essence, my presentation. I really appreciate the opportunity to participate today. And let's go back to Naz and see what's next.
Thank you, Ed. Very interesting presentation in the subject. If I may ask, this was the one thing that your organization is focusing on. Is that correct? Like one.
Yeah. So Strategic Doing Networks is really a rapidly growing global network of practitioners and universities that are working in this whole area of adaptive management. Adaptive management, what is that? Well, we know technical management, as I alluded to in my talk. You know, business school. We know the tools and frameworks of technical management, project management, financial management, internal return, internal rates of return, all of those kind of tools that we learn how to use that help us deal with technical problems. Adaptive management is different. It's management that's based on principles of design do, continuous inquiry. And so what are these disciplines? Well, design thinking is one of them. Systems thinking is another. Strategic doing is another. My colleague, Doug Smith, who wrote the book, The Wisdom of Teams, has performance-driven management. These are disciplines that have evolved over the last 20, 30 years that have a track record of success. They have application. And so bringing those together to teach our next generation of leaders that when you confront a complex challenge, one that you don't know the answer to, don't run to technical management problem or technical management frameworks. Embrace some adaptive management frameworks, and that's really what we're doing. We're moving these into business schools. We're teaching these new disciplines, and in Brisbane in February, we're bringing together a fusion festival to show people how to fuse these things together, fuse design thinking, strategic doing, performance-driven change together, so you deal with complex challenges, so that we can move toward these new systems that we have to design. You know, so that's what we're up to. Yeah.
Thank you, Ed. I'm at a school of business. You just mentioned implementing this or bringing these concepts into business schools. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the main challenge with that?
Well, years ago, it was that, of course, scholars have standards of what is rigorous knowledge, right? And so these are disciplines that developed out of practice. And this is not a model that, academic or scholarship universities are particularly comfortable with. It's action research, and it's difficult. But my journey demonstrates that it's possible to do this. I got my PhD in economics from an Australian university. So, it came at the end of my career, but it basically says, look, practitioners are generating scholarly knowledge. They are generating scholarly knowledge. Scholars would benefit from working closely with practitioners as they engage on these complex challenges. So the biggest hurdle, I would say, is you have an existing structure within these universities that is based on a model of knowledge generation that is somewhat out of date, frankly, when we deal with these complex challenges. It's not a matter of coming up with tests that enable us to do rigorous testing, because it's not possible in a complex environment. Action research is much more, or participatory action research is much better. And the challenge is set forth by a couple of Australian scholars, Alfred and Head, who said, look, these wicked problems are wicked in two dimensions. One is they're entangled. You can't really pull them apart. You know, you can't pull the problem of climate change apart and figure out where it's broken. So these are complex challenges. But the second dimension of complexity here is that you have to generate a collaboration to generate solutions. And the collaboration itself is a complex adaptive system. It's a group of agents working together, constantly shifting. So managing those two dimensions of complexity is tough. And that's really what strategic doing was designed to help us do. So we can get it into, we've started moving it into curriculums. And if you're interested in that and working with business schools, we're starting to talk to, we have the leading business school in Ecuador. Julio Jose Prado, who's the Minister of Production and Trade in Ecuador, is a business professor, expert in clusters, and he and I are working. And if anybody is interested in joining us, please just reach out. We'd be happy to share.
Yes, I think from the audience, we will be reaching out to you.
Okay, perfect. That's great. It takes a group to it's going to take a team and it take a group of people committed to training the next generation of leaders, or guiding the next generation of leaders is a different task than just teaching them things that are 20 and 30 years old. They can get a lot of that stuff on YouTube now. But they can't get the powerful learning experiences that a business school can generate.
Yeah, thank you, Ed. Anyone else from the audience? Any questions for any of the presenters from this session? Anybody? Any questions? We have 3 minutes.
Well, I wanted to, if I can fill a little space, I wanted to congratulate both Agnes and Peter for their presentations. Those were great. I really enjoyed them. And Peter, cheers to you for staying up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey.
I have one question. Maybe this question may go to all of you. Oh my goodness, Peter, you're still here. Thank you so much. It's probably 4 a.m. right now. Thank you. But you all talked about horizons and 3 horizons. Maybe one horizon could be or could cover management's clear commitment to innovation. Is that correct? Yes.
Let Peter answer that one, I think.
Yeah. You need clear commitment from management or the organisation to all 3 traditional, what we call horizons: Horizon 1, Horizon 2, Horizon 3. So, you of course, you don't want to bet everything on exploring out in the future. You want to put the main part of it into your current business. But yeah, there's a commitment required at all 3 horizons, not just one. Or a focus on one will risk your sustainability.
Okay. So all 3 should be focusing on that. And you also mentioned leadership style change might be critical if they are not on board or not focusing on changes. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. You want different leadership styles to focus on different things. I mean, we're talking about building the now business, the current horizon business. Then you want a really goal-orientated leadership that understands exactly what it's got to do, when it's got to get done by. There wouldn't be too many wicked problems because we should know who the market is, who the competitors are, what the technology is that we can apply. We just need to go and do it. And that's totally different than from what Agnes talked about, which was you need to go out and explore what could be searching for that new growth business. And there's stuff that you don't know. And there's wicked problems that Ed talked about to solve. And you need different approaches there. And that's why I was really interested to see the mix between what Ed was saying and Agnes was saying there, especially about Horizon 2 and Horizon 3, if we're going to make real impacts there on our innovation efforts for those horizons.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, all of you, three of you. I learned a great deal indeed. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I think we are ready. We are right on time. It's 12 p.m. here. I don't know what time it is where you are, but it looks like we are on time with my time. Thanks again. And we are joining the next session right now. We are excited. I see my colleague is there, Christy. Hi, Christy.
Hi, Naz.
Hi.
Thank you.
Are you taking over?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Yeah, enjoy.
Professor Naz, thank you so much for your participation. I hope so you can stay with us till end of the conference. I hope.
Yes,
okay, because
yes,
also your group will be there, Professor Mike and Christy with us, and also Professor Beverly. Thank you so much.